Hey everybody, it's Mary at Yard Art or Us. I hope you guys are having a good day. I am going to do a painting tutorial today on the Patriotic Owl. It's a pretty easy piece to paint and I think he's super cute. And he has, basically I did 2 coats of white and I'm gonna put some blue, some red, some yellow, and a little bit of green. That's it. So it's not a lot. And I will have to use the hairdryer today because I haven't base coated this thing in all the colors yet. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my Brilliant Blue simply because that is the one that I have the most work to do. I've got this whole bird, the whole face is in blue, and then the wings. Of course, the feet are gonna be in yellow and the little belly's gonna stay white. So I'm gonna start here with my my mop brush here. And what I'm gonna do is just kind of get this blue where the mop brush can put it without a lot of troubles. Now, I have, hey Carolyn, how are you? I've got my Brilliant Blue right here, Carolyn, and I have got to stir this up. So I base coated this owl in 2 coats of white. And I may live to regret this, but I decided to do that and try to show y'all what it's like. Some of you may already have run into this when I got to put the red on top of the white. So this is going to be an interesting tutorial. Debbie, how are you? Hope you're doing good. I know you have people, are they there today trying to get you? Carolyn says, hello, I'm good. I'm glad you are. I know Debbie Barberi has people either today or tomorrow coming to work in her house because she was ever so lucky and had busted pipes back and is trying to get her house back. I think they're coming today is what she was saying. So I watered down this Brilliant Blue. And y'all, the Brilliant Blue is gonna be fine on top of this white. It's not gonna be difficult to do because the Brilliant Blue has a lot of opacity to it. However, things are gonna be a little different when you see I go with the red. Red is just not easy to deal with, and you're gonna take your medicine one way or the other. I could have just, you know, base coated the white parts and then just base coated the red with no white underneath it. I could have done that. It would have taken me longer to base coat, obviously. So I chose just to go ahead, as my mom would say, slap 2 coats of white on here real quick, and I'm gonna deal with the red here in a minute. Today, tomorrow, and it feels like forever. Oh, I know. I hate it when your house is torn up. It's just the worst. It's just not, I don't know. I feel like I can't rest when that happens. Let's see. I'm gonna start over here. I'm looking at this other sample that I did. I want to make sure I get my stripes right. And on my hat, it's just red, white, and blue stripe. I will have to do a little bit of blow drying, but I have a little plan on that to keep you entertained while it's blow drying. Let's see if I can pull that off. Okay, so I'm putting some blue here, and I went too far. So when I go too far, I just wipe it with my fingers, and I wipe my table or my apron. So I've got blue, and then I've got white and red and blue. Okay, I think I'm doing okay, y'all. And it really doesn't matter just as long as you make sure you've got red, white, and blue stripes. I mean, it doesn't matter which color comes first. So I'm gonna put quite a bit of blue on here, and I'm going to try to get that covered as much as I can. And I think the thing about, you don't have to use a mop brush when you're base coating. Yes, Carolyn, you're so right. And I'm gonna show you something that might help. Ginger, hey, how are you? I'm so glad you could join us. Sometimes I don't get to see you. And I know you catch us on replay, but sometimes I don't get to see you live, so I'm glad you're here. So, Debbie, I'm gonna show you a little bit of trick on this red that is gonna help a little bit, I think. But either you base coat the white and just do that white real quick and let it dry, and then you gotta take your time on the red. Or I could have just said, whatever's red on here, paint the red directly on the raw MDO, and then painted the white around the red. But that's still a pain too. She says she's being sneaky at work. Now, who would ever in the world do that? Nobody I know would ever do that. But the red is kind of difficult to put on the white, but I'm gonna show you something today that might help a little bit. And if worst comes to worst, here's what you can always do. If you can't get that red to cover, which if you have a white on there, you're gonna have a hard time. You can always go ahead and put a brown on top of that white and then put your red on and you'll be good. Still a pain though, you know, to have to go paint another color. But in the old days, probably in the late 80s and even into the 90s, I was one of 9 artists out there where we're at now, the business that we have now. And that was back when the previous owners owned it. And everybody would say, how do you get your Santa red so red? You know, because they could never get a red to look good. And I would always say, you have to paint brown first, then you paint your red. But y'all, that's kind of a pain, but that's the only way you could get it. Now, technology is there. The reds that we have now, even though they're temperamental, they are so much better than what we used to have. So I don't want to complain too much because I do remember the days when red was just absolutely horrendous. And you put brown under every red you did. No, Debbie, it's the weirdest thing. I've even put gray under it and gotten away. Like if I didn't have a brown, I put a gray under it. And it really will, I think my mother-in-law is the one who would always, I would always ask her a lot of questions about color because she just had she didn't have any formal training. She didn't have a degree or anything like that. But she was just one of those people that she could make $5 and look like $500. I don't know why, I didn't inherit that gene, but you give her $5 and she could do something that you swore she spent $500 on. But she was just very artistic, and so she put a lot of energy and effort into it. And I think I have all my blue. Let me make sure. And she is the one that would, when I would get frustrated sometimes, because you know I would forget to put the brown under there, and she's like, "Get your brown. That's the only way this is going to work." And probably in the late 90s, it got a lot better. Early 2000s, the technology was just better. So gray will work, brown will work, either one. And what happens is that it gives the red something to grab a hold of. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Oh, no, I picked up the wrong thing. I did not do the sides on this one simply because I know I've got a lot to do and got a lot of drying to do on this. So I'll probably go back and do the sides later. But I did do the sides with the white, so I know my sides are covered. And I'll probably go back and do them in the colors later. And if I forget to do that, no big deal. They can stay white. It's not the end of the world. But Debbie's right, I normally do paint the sides. I just didn't do that today because I'm kind of making sure if I don't watch it, this live can go on very long. So, and I wanted y'all to see kind of what Debbie said earlier, or might have been Karen, I can't remember who said it, about what to do with this red. And how to make, is there anything you can do other than 3 coats? I'm going to try to get away with 1 coat. So I'll show you a little trick. I'm not saying I will be successful, but I'm going to try. 4th of July will be here before you know it. Isn't that the truth, Victoria? Y'all, Victoria's coming over tomorrow. I have such fun when her and I get together because she just brings so much knowledge that I don't really have. And so I love to learn from her. And she'll be here at my house in the morning. And she's going to, her and I together will be in the academy. And I had some lambs around here somewhere, but who knows where they went. Anyway, we're going to put wool on lambs. Well, actually, Victoria's going to put the wool on the lamb, and I'm going to sit there and narrate and watch. Jan says, hey, hello, how are you, Jan? Ginger says, I had my very first craft show selling you have your one. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Hopefully you're going to do well. You know, I don't know with the whole COVID thing how craft shows have done. I mean, I haven't really kept up with that. Hopefully though, if traffic is any indication, people are getting out. They are getting back out into the world because y'all, I go up and down 518 and I feel like sometimes I'm taking my life in my own hands. These people are driving so crazy. So hopefully if that's, and typically too with something outdoors, I think it's better, people feel better about that than going indoors. So that'll be exciting. That will be exciting. And I'm looking at this, y'all, and I forgot the blue right here. So I'm gonna go back and do that blue right quick. And I'm just using this, this is a pretty big, I think this is a worn out script liner that I have. or it's a small round brush. It's so old, it's just hard to know. So let me put some of that in there. All right, I'm gonna wash this brush out, and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with this red. It's not easy, but it is just the way it is. Okay, so I've got this brush, right? It's kind of a small round brush, or you might think of it as a big worn out script lining brush. And so I need to do, I think I got red, blue, white, red, blue, white, red. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I need to do some of these stars. Let me turn this over because I'm getting confused. Hold on, I'm looking at this sample to make sure that I do it the way I did the photo. Okay, so I've got 2 red stars right here. So I'm going to just kind of take this, and notice my brush is straight up. It's pointing to the ceiling. Okay, this brush isn't laying down. It's pointing straight up. And you can't feel, you can't see it, but under my fingers, I can feel when I'm hitting the bottom of that cup. See how much paint I'm getting on there? Okay. So I'm going, I can't get too much because this particular part right here is small. But I'm going to just put some red paint on here, doing my star, and I'm going to use a lot of paint, much more paint than I would with any other color. And that's the only way that I know to get that red to cover. Now that makes it harder in terms of the drying time, but it makes it easier in terms of you're only painting 1 coat. So it's kind of, you take your medicine one way or the other. You're gonna put a lot of paint on there and you're just gonna have to let it dry longer. Or you're gonna come back and you're gonna put not as much paint and you're gonna do multiple coats. And over the years, I used to do multiple coats, but I don't know, I just don't do that anymore. I just kind of sit here and make it work. The thing you gotta remember too, it doesn't have to be perfect because you're gonna come back and do some shading on top. Years ago, both of my older sisters did a lot of base coating for me. And they would both get, when they were first learning, they would get really upset because they would make mistakes. And they would say, you know, well, what are we gonna do about this? Or I screwed that up. And I'd look at it and I was like, well, I'm not worried about it because I know I'm gonna cover most of that up. And they were kind of like, well, why are we doing this? This is a lot of work. Well, you have to have a base coat. You just have to have a base coat, you know. So I'm putting a lot of red paint on my brush. Maybe you can see it pretty good right here. I've got a lot of paint on there, don't I? And I am taking it and I'm doing very light strokes. I am barely touching the board of this piece of yard art, y'all. You can't see that from the camera, but just as a feel, I can barely touch it. And you can see, I'll hold this up in just a minute. In fact, my cup over here is, that does happen, it's dripping. You gotta be careful. And I'll show you how much paint is on there. Now, I gotta put a hairdryer on this because I'm gonna try to finish this tutorial today all in one time. And while it's hair drying, I'm gonna show y'all something else. So I got a fan above me going too, and that does help, but it's not gonna be enough to get it dry quickly. So my red is not really streaking on me too bad. I mean, streaking a little bit because it is red, but it's not too bad, and that's only because I have a tremendous amount of paint on here. Okay, red, blue, white, red, blue, white, red. Okay, so here's a red. And I'm gonna start over here like this. And I'm just putting quite a bit of paint, and I am barely touching that board. I have a very light stroke. I'm not putting hardly any pressure on this brush at all. And of course you can see it's dripping because I keep hitting the edge of this with so much paint, it's dripping over here. That's how you know you're doing it right. It's a very small venue. You never know. Mine will lift if I use too much paint. You know, I've seen it do that. I don't have that problem, and I've seen what you're talking about, but I haven't experienced that in a long time. Now, I think it's probably simply a fact of having done this as long as I have. I just kind of have, I guess, that experience of how much can I get away with, you know, and that's, I'm gonna show you how much paint I have on here. I got a few more things to do, but you can see I got lots of red paint, but it's pretty doggone good coverage, and it's not streaking on me real bad. And you might think, well, that brush that I was using is too small. And it's really not too small in the fact that I know I've got to put a lot of paint on there. Now, I don't think I would do that same thing with the mop brush, okay? If I had a mop brush, I probably wouldn't put as much paint on there because with a mop brush in that smaller area, I can't control the paint as well. So, okay. So we're going to do some blue stars. I should have done this earlier when I had the blue paint on here, but hey, stuff happens, y'all. Stuff happens. And all I did on this is I just took the idea of red, white, blue on the stars. And I'm gonna let this dry. And then I just do a little bit of shading, not even a ton. I'm not gonna shade any of the white on this guy because I like the white. If you start shading the white area, this is a piece that to me, the whole theme of the red, white, and blue needs to be just that. You don't wanna cover up a lot of this white. If I start shading that white, I'm gonna cover a lot of it up, and I don't wanna do that. I'm not saying you can't shade it, that's not the look I'm going for. So I'm gonna let this dry. I might have to talk a little louder over here, y'all, but I'll show y'all while that's drying, something else I'm working on, so get y'all, give me an idea. All right, let's see if I can hold one hand over here with the hair dryer, and then another hand over here. Let's see how good I am with this, y'all. So one of the things that I've been working on as of lately, oh, is it not plugged in? Thank you. It was plugged in, I guess I hit it. All right, I got my helper here, she's helping me. I'm having issues with my paint separating, like it's not sticking to the primer color. Okay, Ginger, are we talking about, is it a certain color or is it all the time on everything you're doing? I'm gonna talk a little louder, y'all. I apologize, but I have to do the blow drying thing here. Because I'm not sure if you're separating. Hey Trisha, how are you? All the colors. Okay, let me ask you this, Ginger. There's two things that come to mind. So let's say you base coat something today and you come back tomorrow to shade or put some more paint on there. You gotta make sure that you are Windexing that piece really, really good. You wipe it, are you Windexing it or are you just wiping it down with water? Because I've not had luck wiping it down with water. I typically use Windex. Ashley and I both do that. That's typically what I do. I'm trying to think why your paint would be separating. I tell you what, next time that happens, yeah, I don't think water's your friend in that regard. Use Windex. If that doesn't help, take a photo and post it, and I will see what I can come up with. Because I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, hopefully that'll help. Now, I'm going to start doing, I'm working on a design. This particular design that you see in front of us right here is going to be for a door hanger for a paint party. But I'm going to show y'all, okay, this is a baseball behind here, so ignore this round. The design on the round is wrong. That's all I have right now. So I'm going to do paint party, and I'm going to do welcome, and I'm going to do 3Ds, right? So here's my truck. It'll be something like this. And then, like for the winter time, it'll be, what do you call this little guy? Snowman. Snowman will go here. Now we have rails that'll go on top of there, right? So the idea is you slide the snowman out when Christmas is over or winter. And then when the fall shows up, you slide this back in, okay? And then you got pumpkins. And you slide your pumpkins out. And when Easter rolls around, you got Easter eggs. And I had some, oh, hey, Angie, can you hear me? Is there hearts over there? No, we might not have hearts. You know what? We might not have that. Anyway, you get the idea. So my question is, for you guys, we were thinking about doing something in terms of interchangeable blanks. where you could buy the truck, the braille would be attached, you could buy the truck, and then we might have 6 different interchangeables. And if we go that route, we would sell each interchangeable alone. So you wouldn't have to buy the truck and all the interchangeables at the same time. Or you could if you wanted. I mean, up to you. So let me know your thoughts if you think this would be good for yard art. These right here are for door hangers. Because that's how thin it is. It's going to be for a door hanger for a paint party. But I don't think it would take a whole lot of work for me to make an interchangeable blank for you guys. And then what we would plan on doing is we would carry, it's drying pretty good. All of these would be different. These are what we call elements, and we would carry the elements pretty much probably during the season. We'd carry this one during Christmas. We'd carry this one during fall. We'd carry this one during Easter. So that was kind of our idea. So, but you know, I will make a post about this. I don't really want to do this if there's not any interest, because it's a lot of different interchangeables. So it's not just one thing. But if we go that route, we'll have the interchangeables all year long, just throughout the year. Carla says, I love it. Debbie says, I love that idea. That'd be awesome for yard art. Okay. Thank you, ladies, for letting me know. I like the idea, too. I think what I'll do when I do the yard art design, I will design this to where it's part of the truck, I think. Not sure how that's going to work. And then we have 3 of these. I know I had another one, but who knows. I would probably make 3 more. We have Easter. Oh, I got a Christmas tree. I do think we need a Christmas tree. You could use this for Christmas or January or winter month, but I do think we need a Christmas tree for Christmas. We've got this for the fall. I think we also have some leaves, like for Thanksgiving, if you wanted to do leaves. There's something else. Oh, Valentine's Day, there was hearts. That's all I can remember right now. You keep your customers coming back on a monthly basis, yeah. And you know, it's an interchangeable, so once they get that truck, oh, Debbie could, patriotic flags. I didn't think about that coming out of here. That would be really cute. Once you get your truck, then, you know, you just come by the interchangeable whenever you're ready to do that. At first we thought about selling them as a whole bundle where you had to buy the truck and all the interchangeables, but I don't think that's the way to go. First of all, it's too hard for us to inventory a bundle. And second of all, you would have to buy the whole bundle at one time. It makes it, you know, more expensive at once. And I just think if we just carry this during Easter, this during the fall, and this during winter and January, etc., then you could just come by the interchangeables when you wanted it. So that's something we're looking at. I'm going to make a post in the other groups. If we get a lot of good feedback, we will do that. But this was a design that we came up with for a paint party that we'll be doing at the store, probably in June. But I just kind of like the idea of the interchangeable. So that's probably what it'll look like. Now this background, we'll do it on a round, but the background will look like shiplap. This is actually a baseball round, so the round is not the right round, but it would look like shiplap. Oh, we could do quarterly. I didn't think about that. Yeah, a quarterly bundle. And I think that it's just a good idea in the fact that you buy that one big piece and you got it all year long. So, and everybody seems to like the interchangeables. So, Miss Victoria said she loves this. Miss Victoria is actually the one who brought this design to my attention. And it took me a little while, y'all, to kind of sit here and play with it because I had to measure all this out. You have to measure all, and you got your tire. And then inside the tire, you got your hub. And the thing about doing this is for paint parties is a good idea. It's a door hanger. Because basically, even for those that really struggle with painting, anybody can paint an element. It's a lot easier to paint that. And so I think that's a good idea. And we'll see if everybody else likes that. And we'll probably end up doing that in blanks if we get a good thing. Yeah, let me know in the comments. I thought about doing clovers for St. Patrick's Day. There's something else I wasn't thinking of, but I can't remember now what it was. But if you have any other ideas, I like the patriotic, I like the flag, and we could even do like a watermelon too or something. That might be cute. Okay. All right. Well, my paint is not totally dry, but I'm gonna work with what I got. Okay, but I like this idea, and again, the round will have the shiplap look. It'll look like this. This round is not the right round because it's too little, but it'll have a shiplap look for the door hanger. That's kind of what we're working on. A Christmas tree. Yes, ma'am. We gotta have a Christmas tree. I have one somewhere, Victoria, but I can't find it right now. Okay. So this little guy, I really did not do a whole lot of shading on him with, you know, a lot of times you'll see Ashley and I picking up the flat tip brush and we'll start shading. I'm gonna do quite a bit of shading on the yellow, but, and I'll do a little bit of shading on the red, but if you're not careful, he's such a little piece, he's gonna look kind of really, he gets too dark very quick if I'm not careful. So I'm gonna do some shading. Now this is his little feet and the bill. I'm gonna shade that. And that won't take me but just a minute because there's really not much to him. All right, so let's do this. Okay. Yeah, y'all come on and join us in the morning for the wool tutorial on the lambs. I'm looking forward to that. Miss Victoria will be over here tomorrow. And then Ashley's gonna be in the main page, y'all, doing the fish on Thursday. So I'm gonna really watch the fish. You know, I don't really know how to do that blending thing that she's been talking about. I haven't sat down and really learned it. So I'm gonna watch that on Thursday because I just think she does such a good job with that. And then she said the other day that Carly has been doing a lot of blending. And Ashley's like, Mom, that child can blend. I was like, maybe she don't have a choice, y'all. Look at what her parents, her Nana and mother do for a living. It's like she doesn't have a choice. She's got to do it, you know. So I am putting a little bit of shading yellow here. Not a whole lot. Okay. Now on this brilliant blue on the body, I chose to not really shade him, but come back and just use my script liner and put a lot of white on him. It's not as easy as she makes it look. You know, that is the truth. And isn't that the, you know, like when you watch somebody, you're like, oh, I could do that. And then I go home and do it. I'm like, y'all, it's kind of like you look at Pinterest and you're like, I could do that, I could do that. Then you go home and you do it and you're like, well, maybe I can't do that. But it's a lot of practice. That's exactly what it is. It's just a lot of practice. So now my red is, I want to show y'all, I put so much red on here, and just like she said, it's separating right there in there. I want y'all to see this because I think a lot of times, honestly, y'all probably are harder on yourself than I am on myself. And I think a lot of times there's this perception that my stuff is perfect because it looks good, but it's really not. So I want y'all to see that. Am I freaking out about that? Nope. Not worried about it. You know why? Because I know what to do. I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to leave that alone. So for those of you that are saying it's separating, I wanted y'all to see mine's separated too. And I'm going to, this brush is too big. I got to get a smaller one, y'all. Hold on a second. I have to have a small brush for this one. If not, we'll get so much paint on here. Let me put some water in here. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some water in here, and I'm gonna pick up my small tip brush. I've got to water down this shading red, okay? Preferably don't splatter it all over the other colors like I just did. Preferably. All right. So I'm going to shade this. And where my red paint is separating, I'm not worried about that because I'm gonna kind of camouflage that with either shading red or some white. Normally I would part of the reason why this thing is separated as much as it has is I had it under the dryer and I really dried it too fast, but that's okay because I want y'all to see what I do and how I camouflage that. I'm just putting a little bit of shading on each red, on the outside of each stripe is all I'm doing. Okay, so I've got my shading red there. And then I will put a little bit of the navy blue as some shader on this hat. And let me get that navy blue. Make sure I don't already have some. I don't have any out. Sometimes, y'all, I have so many colors out I don't even know what I got out. So I've got some navy blue. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm using just a little bit of paint because I don't want it really, really too dark. Yeah, I'm going to have to kind of give it a whirl and try the shading or the blending that Ashley's talking about. She said Carly was pretty good at it. Well, you know, hey, I'm figuring if Carly can do it, I can do it, right? Famous last words. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit more in here, and I'm going to water this down, and I'm going to pick up my script liner. And on my script liner, that's what I'm going to use to outline this hat. And then where I've still got some of that red that's separating, again, I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna fix that. I am painting this little guy right now, and I have struggled staying in the line of the stars, but I see you have gone over too. Yes, yes. Let me see the rest of your comment. Over the line, so that'll be like, yeah. So here's the thing. I don't know. I think part of learning, y'all, in anything is, and this is how, because I've been trying to learn some stuff myself, so I think part of the learning curve is we overcomplicate or we're overcritical in the beginning. And I think that a lot of times that really kind of, causes us some grief because, you know, we're so busy trying to make sure everything looks perfect. We're so busy trying to make sure everything looks great. And I get it. I'm not advocating sloppiness. I'm not advocating doing a crappy job. That's not what I'm saying. But at the same time, you've got to be realistic with doing stuff by hand, particularly when you're learning. And I see people being very critical of themselves, of things that I know ain't going to make a hill of beans one way or the other. That's my take on it for whatever it's worth. Now, I have a smaller script liner in my hand today, right now, than I had earlier. The script liner I had earlier was bigger because I was trying to put a base coat. I'm not base coating anymore. What am I doing? I'm just outlining. And because I'm outlining, I don't need as much paint on there. I'm just outlining. Your base coating, the goal is to get a lot more paint on there. So let's see what I did. Okay, so I have to look over here at my sample. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to take that blue. It's a navy blue. Now, while I have this smaller brush in my hand, I can kind of come in here and I can kind of clean up that line a little bit because I have a smaller brush that's easier to be precise with. Imagine trying to do these stars with a mop brush. That'd never work, just because the stars are so small and the mop brush is so large. But the one I was using was almost like that's what I was using. That's a pretty big round brush. But I had to get a lot of paint on there. So while I have the smaller brush, I will come back and I will just kind of take those lines and make them a little bit straighter. They're not perfect, but I can clean them up a little bit. And I'll show y'all this. I'll put it up to the camera real close so you can see at the end, you know, kind of what it's going to look like. All right, so I've got blue on there. I'm happy with that. Now, look at my hat. I got problems there, but I'm not worried about it right now, okay? We're gonna fix it, I promise. As I tell Bruce, whenever things are not going right, he's like, how are you gonna fix that? I'm like, I know tricks. As long as you know tricks, you're good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and outline this hat. And I'm just doing all the outline in navy. You could actually outline in the shading red and get a different look. I just chose the navy blue because I like it. But the thing about red, white, and blue, it really doesn't matter what you do as far as your colors. As long as you stick with the red, white, and blue, it's going to look good. Okay, I do need some black paint on the pupils right here. And I haven't put that on yet. Let me do that right quick. All right, so I got some black paint right here. I don't need a lot in here, and I don't have a lot. So Yeah, I'm going to, at the end of this, I'll put everything up here just so you can see exactly what my end product is going to look like. Because I think that'll help y'all too. Because I know a lot of times when you're learning something, it's you don't know when enough is enough, as far as, you know, do I have enough paint on there, or you don't know when I should put some more paint on there. And that's just a learning curve. That's really all it is. But the more you do it, the more you'll get really, really confident, and you'll be all right. I don't worry about, I think I've told y'all before, I do not worry about my stuff being perfect. That's not my goal. That's not my bag at all. Okay. So, all right. I'm gonna, and you can tell just the little bit that I've been working on these eyes, I'm just giving some definition to these eyes with that black paint. That's all I'm doing. And really, this is the only place I'm gonna use paint is on these eyes right here. Black paint is only on the eyes. Now, while I have that small brush, I will rinse it out and go ahead and pick up my shading yellow. And what I'm gonna do on the shading yellow, y'all, I'm going to outline it down here. Just take that small brush. I used this shading yellow as my shading color, but I'm gonna use it also as my outline color. Just gonna go ahead and cover everything up. That's a good trick. Always use your, if you want to go back and add more paint with the shading color paint, just pick up your script liner and you can do that. And I'm gonna fill this in right here, giving my legs, the little feet right here, a little bit more definition, okay? And then really all I have to do is we're gonna put a lot of white on this owl. Y'all know that we always do, excuse me, while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna pick this back up. I need to outline this. I've got 2 white stars and I wanted to leave them white, but I do need to outline them. I'm gonna leave the inside of the stars white, but they do need to be outlined. And when I pick up the red and kind of clean that up, I'll outline that one. But what was I saying? Oh, whenever, y'all know we always end up doing white as a highlight, but this is gonna have a lot of white because I really like that red, white, and blue light. Hey, Kim, how are you? I am working on your order. I saw you got an order come in and you wanted the summertime memories. I'm gonna cut that. Ashley already has your other gnome cut for you, so we're good on that. I'll cut that other piece tomorrow. I'm thinking you still want those. It's called, I think it's called Sweet Summer or Summertime Memories. I think you still want that one. I haven't cut that one yet, but I will. You do that tomorrow. All right, so I've got some white in here. And remember, you're gonna always just do your regular highlighting like we always do. But in addition to that, on this little guy, instead of coming in here and shading, I'm not shading any of his face and I'm not shading any of his wings. I'm just gonna outline in white. And you can make your white outline as thin or as thick as you want. It really doesn't, it's strictly personal preference. That's all it is. And I will do that. And I'll kind of come in here and just create a little bit more of a straight line in here. And of course I will put my highlight on the bill. I'll come over here on each side of the eye and just do a stroke, okay? And I like this because this is kind of a smaller piece, and if you start shading it, it's gonna get real, real dark blue on you. And that's not the look I'm going for. I'm going for the real traditional red, white, blue look. And that's it. You don't have to have perfect strokes when you're doing this over here. Like when I don't worry about this every single line looking identical as far as, you know, they all look a little different. Okay, now I'm gonna go over to the hat, because the hat, we gotta work on the hat a little bit, y'all. I'll show you. So, my red separated right here and right here, right? I see some problems over here too, some paint that I spilled. But anyway, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna take that white stripe and I'm gonna cover up that separating red. It's separated right here, I'm gonna do that, and it's separated right there. And I'm just doing some stripes on the blue. So see if that works for you. I'll show you in just a minute. Let me pick up the red color. Whenever you're getting frustrated, if you can, see if wherever it's separated, if you can, if it's separating, I wouldn't come back and put another same color on top of that. What I would do is just what I did here. I would come in and I would shade your project, I would outline, and I would highlight it. If you still see separating, you know, and you can't cover it with the highlights, you can't cover it with the outline, and you can't cover it with the shading, then after it's dry, and I'll show you what I would do here in a minute, you can always come back after this piece is dry. I'm gonna get up here real close because I want y'all to see, okay? See, I covered it up, right? Now, I have a little piece right here that's still separated. I'm gonna try to show you just so you can see. See that little piece right there? Ooh, I hope I don't drop this thing. There's still a little bit of red that's separated right there. So what I would do, when this is dry, and I'm gonna pretend it's dry, it's not, but I'm gonna pretend, okay? What I would do, just right where it's separated, I'd take your red paint and I would just cover that right there. And you're good to go. So don't sweat it. I mean, if it's separating you to a point where, you know, the paint won't even stick to the board and it's falling off the board or something real dramatic, then that's different. But if it's just separating and it's showing the color underneath, don't sweat it. Just cover it up with either shading, highlighting, outlining, and if that doesn't work, go ahead and do your project, shade it, highlight it, outline it anyway. At the very end of the project, when it's dry, come back and just put a little bit of paint on top of the part that's separated. That's what I do. So I don't sweat it. You know, as I always say, as long as you know tricks, y'all, you're good. Tricks are good. So Bruce and I just have always had this running joke between us. When something didn't work, he'll look at me, he goes, you know tricks? I'm like, yep, I know tricks. He's like, okay, we're good. I don't know why he believes me, but what if the day comes I don't know tricks, y'all? You know, as long as I know tricks, we're good. So I'm just outlining my other star. And we are just about done with this little guy. I see some separating right here on that star, and I'm just going to tip it right there. Okay? I'm going to pick up my red. It's a little bit willy wonky right here. A little bit more than I'd like. So my shading red, I got to do something right here, y'all. I'm going to put a little bit more paint on here. I'm going to come in here. And that's something else I do. If I don't think it, I say willy wonky, y'all. I hope y'all know what I'm talking about. Like it looks jiggity, jaggedy, whatever. If that's the case, sometimes what I will do is I'll come back just like I'm doing right now and I'll even that line up a little bit. Or I'll wait till the next day when I know this thing is good and dry and I'll just take a script liner and I'll come in here and even out that line a little bit. And that's all I do. Right there, gotta even that out a little bit. And I think I'm good, y'all. I'm gonna pick this up so y'all can see the hat because y'all knew, I showed you earlier it was kind of a hot mess, but that's all good. And I still have to put the dots and white dots in the pupil of his eye, which I haven't done. Okay, so you can see my hat looks a lot better than it did when I showed y'all earlier. Okay. And that's just because you just kind of keep going. And when that paint separates, shade it, highlight it, outline it. After you're totally finished, come back and put a little bit more of the base color wherever it's separated. That's what I would do. So we'll be here in the morning. Hopefully y'all can join us at 9:30. Miss Victoria and I'll be here doing wool on the lambs. And then we actually will be on our regular page on Thursday and she'll be doing the blending fish. So thank y'all for hanging out. I hope you have a good day. Hope you can pick you up a little Patriotic Owl because he's super cute. And I'll put the white on his pupils later tomorrow when this thing is dry. Let y'all see it. He's cute. Cute, cute. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.